this video, I'm going to share with you the 40 most brutal truths that anybody who wants to make money online needs to hear in 2025. This is based on the 7 years of experience that I have in this space, having successfully done this, having successfully built an online business full-time and travel the world while doing so. So if you are aspiring to do this, if you're currently doing this, if you have been doing it for a while and you're wondering what's holding you back, these are the lessons that I learned that allowed me to travel the world, that allowed me to basically successfully build that online business. And if you don't understand these truths, you will not succeed. That's the harsh reality of it. So let's jump straight in. Now, the first one is that nobody is going to understand you. Nobody out there. The people that surround you, the circle that you have, the local circle, the people who live next door to you, they are not going to understand you. What we're living in is a small 1% of society, probably even smaller than that, to be honest. And they all live by certain rules. Over the last few years, the online space has disrupted those rules. But to be honest with you, you can walk out the door and you can ask someone, what is ChatGPT? And they won't know. That's the reality of the situation. Even though to anyone who's explored this space, which is likely yourself since you're watching this video, we know what that is because we've seen it everywhere and we know how big it is. But if you walk down the street tomorrow and you ask someone, the chances are they're not really sure what it is. So as much as it's a big thing to us, it's not to them. So nobody is going to understand you. They're not going to understand what you do, how you do it, what you want to do, and they're not going to get behind it because they don't understand it. And that's not their fault. And that doesn't mean that you're wrong either. It just means they don't have the information that you have. And that's your advantage. So nobody is going to understand you. You can't expect that to happen. And if you do expect it, you're going to be let down. So we have to surround ourselves in circles of people who do understand it. And that's where channels like this come in. That's where communities come in, online communities. And that's where traveling to different masterminds and such actually comes into play. It's really beneficial to surround yourself with these people. The second one is this is going to take longer than you think it's going to take, but it's worth it. It will always take longer. Everything that you do, everything that you try to launch, it's going to take longer. It's going to be harder than you think it is. But the reality is, on the other side of that, the success is so much sweeter. It's worth it. It's worth going through that journey because the reality is most people are stuck basically sitting at a desk for years and years and years. They're stuck trying to ask for time off. They're restricted in what they do. Whereas we can do whatever we want to do. We can work from anywhere. There's nobody to tell us how to spend our day. We don't have to work the 40-hour weeks that other people work. We can build our business by design. We can actually design how we want to live. And that's the beauty. And that freedom is so much more powerful, it's so much more beneficial, it's so much more rewarding than everything else out there. So it's worth it, but it is going to take you longer than you think it's going to take. You just have to ask yourself, is the reward of being able to travel around the world and work from anywhere, is that worth the effort that it takes? Number 3 is the biggest challenge that you ever or will ever face is ignoring all of the distractions. There's so many different avenues out there, so many of them, and they're going to come at you from all angles. You're going to see them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You're going to see it on Google. You're going to see it in your email inbox. It is going to be everywhere because it is everywhere. So the biggest challenge you have is actually ignoring all of these shiny objects and focusing, because the reality is most of them actually do work. If you put enough time and enough effort into it, most of these strategies do actually work. It doesn't work when you jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, because you never have any consistency. You never make the progress that you're looking to make simply because you're not consistent enough. So they all do work. You just have to select your path and focus on continuing down that path and ignoring all of the shiny objects, all of the distractions, all of it. That is the path to success. The fourth one is that everybody is always going to tell you to charge more. Raise your prices, charge higher prices. Honestly, this isn't the answer. Having been in the high ticket space, I know that taking the sales calls, doing the film, it's stressful. It is very stressful. And the more you charge, the bigger your problems are going to become. And that's okay if you want to make really fast money and a lot of it and more focus on the now rather than the future. That's okay. You can do that. There's no problems in doing that. You just have to realize that you're sacrificing the peace of mind. So the way we always do this is I understand what my lifestyle should be. I know what I want it to be. I want it to be passive. I want to enjoy what I do. And I want to be able to travel and not be on calls all the time. That allows me to do whatever I want to do. So I know that charging the higher prices, that's not the path that I want to take. I want to focus on going down the path that gives me that freedom, right? It gives me that ability to do whatever I want to do. That's the path I choose. I will choose more passive style income. I'll choose repeatable income that comes in every month, whether I work or not. So I'm going to choose that path. Now that means charging lower prices because my problems are much smaller. People are much happier. Now that's a sacrifice because it's a longer journey for me to get to the heights that you see these people, making $300,000 a month. It's harder for me to get to that point. But the reality is when I get to that point, I will stay at that point. I will not move. It will be repeatable, whereas they have to reinvent the wheel every 6 months or so. So the answer is not charging more. The fifth one is having control over your time is worth more than anything. Having that freedom to work wherever you want to work, being able to travel, being able to work from the beach, the mountains. If you ever look at my profile, you will see that. You can work from anywhere. And that is so much more freeing. Being able to do what you want when you want to do it is a life hack that is honestly incomparable. There's nothing like it. You can do whatever you want. You can go hiking in the mornings. You can work in the afternoons. You can travel, go on a flight in the morning, be in a completely different location by the afternoon, and if you have a call or something, you can take it there. If you don't do calls, you can just work from there, or you can not work at all. You choose what you want to do, and that's the beauty of it. This is worth more than anything. Your hard work will pay off. You just need to stick to the plan. So as I said, all of these systems and processes, they all work. Everything you see out there, from drop shipping to Amazon to agencies to SaaS, they all work. Even affiliate marketing, that works. But it only works if you stick to the plan. So you have to be consistent and you have to focus on making that progress. If you don't, you're not going to make it. That's the difference. So you choose something and stick to that plan and commit to the plan and follow it through, because that will take you to success, whereas jumping from thing to thing will not do it. Consistency matters more than huge numbers. I've seen it so many times out there, people talking about 250,000, 300,000 months, but they never repeat it. It's very volatile for them. So it may look as if they're doing incredibly well, but then you ask them 2 months later, did they do the same numbers? And the answer is no, because they've got a lot of stress that's come from that previously. Whereas if you flip the model and you focus on, okay, I want to focus on building up my recurring income, so my repeatable income every single month on autopilot without having to be on calls, without having to do much client work, any of that stuff. If you just focus on building that up like a snowball, as you can imagine, as you're building a snowman, let's say, you roll the ball, right? And it builds and it builds and it builds. It's the same thing. As we build that recurring, repeatable income up, it builds and builds and builds and builds. Every month that comes in. And all of a sudden we're earning a lot more and we're doing it consistently. That matters so much more than hitting big numbers in 1 month. Success lies outside society's rules and the herd culture. Now, what do I mean by this? Everybody follows everybody else, right? That's the way it works. If something like the online space is abnormal, people will not pay attention to it. It will seem too risky. It will seem too out there. And we've seen this before. If you ask any grandparent or something like that about the online space, it will just be the standard rule of get a job, focus on working your way up in the company and experiencing life that way, and working your way up and earning your money. But that's their mentality. And what happens is they believe that, and the people behind them believe that too. So it creates this culture where if you do something out the norm, people start to look at you a bit funny, right? But the reality is the success lies outside of this. It lies in doing the abnormal stuff. So you can't focus on the rules society creates for you. You have to create your own rules. We create rules that say we can work from anywhere. We can work and not have to work 40 hours a week. We can work and have customers all over the world. We create those rules. But if you follow society's rules, you're not going to be able to do it. So you have to step outside. And that is also stepping outside your comfort zone. Number 9, making mistakes is part of progress. You're going to make mistakes, but if you quit, you make no progress, guaranteed. if you keep trying, you're going to make progress at one point. You're going to learn something, something's going to click for you, and it starts to work. But if you don't make the mistake first, you're never going to learn. Number 10, leverage time until you can leverage money. So we're all talking about leverage. And we all understand that, yes, if you have money, you can go faster, absolutely. But that doesn't mean it's the only way. If you don't have money, you can leverage time. So you spend more time, whereas the money allows you to not have to spend the time. It's a balance, a trade-off, right? The more money we spend, the less time we spend. The less money we spend, the more time we spend. So you can make up for that by simply spending more time than the person who's leveraging the money. So time is also leverage. Number 11, put more effort into what you want than you feel like. So we're not always going to wake up feeling great. So you're on those days, on the days where you do not feel great, that's where discipline comes in. You have to continue doing the work even when you don't feel like it. That's the answer. So it doesn't mean having perfect days where you work really well, flawlessly all day long. It means on the days where you don't feel like it, getting that 2-3 hours of work in, that's going to make the difference, because it's 2 or 3 hours ahead of where you would be had you just given up. Number 12, nothing is too saturated. There is always an opportunity. So all the markets out there that you see, you think, is it too saturated? Is it too much? No, the answer is no. Saturation means it works. Yes, it might be slightly more difficult, but there's always an opportunity. There's always an angle. There's always the ability to provide more value than someone else. Therefore, nothing is ever too saturated. Number 13, you don't need $1 million idea to make 300K a year and travel the world. So just because that number, the $1 million mark, is what everybody wants to hit, it doesn't mean it has to be your goal. If you just want to travel the world, chill out, have fun, enjoy what you do, don't be too stressed, you can do that on 300K a year. So just because everyone tells you you need $1 million, you actually don't need to. You figure out what you need, you figure out what it takes for you to live the life that you want, and you go for that goal. That is your goal. You don't have to be influenced by everybody else. Number 14, replicate what already works and put more effort into it. The reality is 99% of people do not put the effort in required, which means even if they've got something to work, they're probably not putting that much effort into it. So what you can do is you can replicate what they do, put your spin on it, make it better, and it will work for you, and you'll actually be able to compete even if you don't have that experience, simply because you try harder. Your effort, your time is more valuable than just magically producing something that works. So replicate what already works, put your spin on it, make it better, and put more effort into it, and it'll work for you too. Number 15, don't follow your passion, follow something that makes you feel good. Now, this is an interesting statement. Everybody tells you to follow your passion, that's fine, but really you want to follow something that makes you feel good. So not just making money, but follow something where it makes you feel great. So for example, the path that we follow, where we help hundreds and hundreds of people, it makes me feel great. Honestly, I feel great about it because I can help them. I can make an impact. If you have a look on our channels, you'll see the success people have had. And it's because we care, right? And I love seeing that success. I love the fact that someone can go out there and start to make 6,000, 8,000 per month and consistently do that. And it changes how they view the world. Like, they can take their family on trips, they can fix up the house. It unlocks that new world for them. And that's what makes me feel great. I feel great about that, so I keep doing it. I show up every day. I continue to do this, even on days where maybe I feel tired, right? It keeps me going. So this is what I say, follow something that makes you feel good. Number 16, don't take the easiest path, follow the path that makes sense. So when we're designing that life, when we're looking at the life that you want, if it's travel, if it's freedom, if it's money, whatever, if it's time with your family, whatever that path is, make sure you design the life. You look at the numbers, you look at the economics behind it, and you think, okay, I'm going to follow this path because it makes sense for my life. I'm not going down a path where I'm doing high ticket sales calls all the time, because that's not going to allow me to spend the time with my family. That's going to tie me to a desk. So I need more passive recurring. That's the path you take, the path that fits the life that you want. Why? Because on those hard days that I was talking about, where you don't feel like doing something, you still show up because it makes sense. It logically makes sense. Whereas if you're doing something you don't like and you don't feel like it on a certain day, you're not going to do it. So these are the things, these are the mechanisms. We're all humans. We all have bad days. We all have days where we don't feel like it. We know that's going to happen. It's guaranteed. So in order to get past that, we can basically build mechanisms that allow us to overcome it much more easily. Number 17, focus on providing value. It will last a lot longer. So the quick cash, you've seen it out there before. Those people are always here for 6 months, then they're gone. Whereas if you focus on providing value and actually making a difference to people, you're going to find that you stick around for 6, 7, 8, 10 years. And it becomes very sustainable for you. Whereas the other side of that coin, making that quick cash, you're going to be here for 6 months. Then you're going to have to find something else. So focus on providing value. Number 18, there's a difference between making money and a business that will set you free. So again, it's not about the fast cash all the time. Focus on designing the business that fits your life. You want to make sure that you're not spending too much time. These are the considerations when you're choosing the path. Am I going to be spending too much time on calls? Do I want to travel? Well, I can't. That doesn't make sense, right? Do I want low stress where I can work behind the scenes and not have to be on 10 calls per day? Do I not want to have stress because someone else isn't putting the work in? Do I not want to have that stress? Well, the reality is that maybe I don't want to go in the high ticket space. Maybe I don't want to do that. If I'm looking at Amazon or e-commerce, do I want to have to deal with shipping and all that sort of stuff? Do I want to have to deal with that? Do I want to have to physically get products returned because someone doesn't like it, then I just lose money? No. Well, maybe that's not the path for you. Do you want more passive? Do you want more online income? Do you want to have to show your face less and not have to actually be on calls? Well, then you can choose a path that fits that lifestyle. Number 19, if you take care of people more than everybody else, your business is going to succeed. Now, what do I mean by this? Customer support. You want to make sure your customer support is incredible. You want to make sure that you are responding very quickly. It makes a difference, sad to say, but the reality is most companies, most businesses, most people do not provide support to customers very well at all. We've all been there. We've all been frustrated. If you simply respond faster than everybody else, you're going to leave a great impression and customers are going to buy more from you. Number 20, when you're just starting out, scalable means nothing to you. It doesn't matter. Everybody thinks, well, if I have to manually do something, it's not scalable, so I shouldn't do that. No, it's not going to be like that forever. You can do the time investment first to then build the bridge that gets you to the scalable asset or the scalable position that you can leverage, that you have more leverage with money. So it's the bridge. It's not forever. Doing the unscalable things is not forever. It's simply the bridge that gets you to the scalable things, and that's the secret. Number 21, building an audience will pay off so much more than you will ever imagine. Focus on building that audience. Focus on posting content. Focus on really building up an email list, because I promise you, it will. And that's in comparison or against just making those sales, right? If you build the audience, it will serve you for years. Whereas if you just make a quick sale, it's a one-time hit and you don't really have anywhere to go beyond that. So focus on building the audience. Number 22, people are going to copy you. This happens all the time. I've had it happen to me multiple times. People are going to copy you. The reality is they're never going to do it better than you are because you care more, so it doesn't really matter. There's nothing we can really do about it. So who cares? Don't give it your energy. Don't give it your time. It is going to happen. If you're doing something good, if you're doing it well, it's going to happen. So expect it. Don't care. Move on. Progress. It just means you're on the right path, and they want that. Number 23, focus on the economics, the numbers. Everything runs on a calculation, so we can look at the different numbers behind things, from using paid advertising to making sales to customers retaining and paying us monthly. We live and die by the numbers. So as long as we look at the numbers, I do a lot of spreadsheets. If you ever look at the other videos on my channel, you will see I do a lot of spreadsheets when I'm calculating my numbers. This is what I make decisions based on, because I can then make decisions based on pure numbers, and I can expect it to work without just guessing or hoping or risking or because I feel like something might work. I've got data to back it up. So this is how we make decisions. Number 24, the best way to do this is to create low maintenance recurring income. So you've got subscription models, automated systems, passive income streams, predictable revenue. The reason for this is because it ticks in every month. If you build 10K per month, that's not 10K per month, that's 120,000 a year when you've got subscription income. And after year one, that can still continue. That could be another 80,000 extra from your existing customers, no new customers in the second year. So think about that. It's far more beneficial for you to do this. Basically, it allows you to say, look, I'm going to put one level of effort in, and I'm going to make 10 out of that every single time. So I multiply my efforts. That's the benefit. Whereas if you go for the one-time sale model or the higher price models, it's going to be one hit and you're going to struggle, basically. Number 25, it will never be perfect, but put enough effort in that you would happily sell it to a family member. This is the family test. If a family member said to you, look, I will buy this from you, and maybe you want to give it to them for free, but let's say they insist that they want to buy this from you, and you have to take their money, would you be happy giving it to them? Would you be happy taking their money? If not, back to the drawing board, make it better. It doesn't have to be perfect. You have to simply pass the family test. Would you give it to a family member? If not, put more effort into it. That's how we can determine, is it good enough? Number 26, do what successful people do before you are successful. So what do I mean by that? Well, in order to get to this position of someone who's successful, they did things before they were successful. They built the business. They launched even when they weren't successful. You might look at them and think you're successful. It's super easy for someone to do that once they're successful. Yeah, absolutely. But they had to do it as well before they were successful. They had to do it as well when they didn't know it was going to work. They had to do it when they had to learn different things and test different things and make the mistakes. They had to do that in order to get to the successful position. Therefore, in order for you to get to that point, you have to do what the successful person does before you're successful. Understanding that will allow you to work a lot harder, a lot more effectively, and honestly, it will really set you free. Number 27, paid advertising is leverage. So everybody's afraid of running ads because it costs money. But when you look at the way we do things, and generally when I'm speaking about paid ads, the way we do it is through something called a ladder funnel. And when you do this, it allows you to spend, say, $50 tomorrow and make $50 back tomorrow, plus you've got new customers that pay you every month, which is pure profit. So when you learn how to run paid advertising where you can put $1 in, get $1 out, but also get paid an extra dollar every single month, every time you do that, so you basically turn $1 into 12 without having to spend any money. When you learn how to do that, the world opens up. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. You can run paid advertising. It gives you control over things, and it really makes a massive difference. So if you learn this one skill, you've got huge amounts of leverage. Number 28, you need to execute on actions fully. You can't go half in. So this is similar to the shiny object syndrome. If you're half in, half out, if you're doing 5 different things at once, it's not going to work. It's going to be so much harder for you to find success. Whereas if you just do one thing and you go all into it, it will work. Is it going to be the journey to $1 million for you? We don't know yet. But will it get you to 300? Probably. If you put enough effort in, it probably will. Most things will get you there. So even if you're aiming for the stars, you may reach the moon, as they say. The reality is, or it's the other way around, I have no idea. But the reality is, if you go all in to something, you're going to make a lot more progress. And that progress can teach you a lot of things. It can give you a bit more money to then be able to do the next level more effectively. So it's the bridge. Think of everything as a bridge. Nothing has to be permanent. You just think of it as a bridge. But you have to take these bridges, these short-term focus areas, and go all in on them. So you have your bridge that takes you to the next level. Your only focus is on the bridge. That's where you're 100% in. Once you're at the bridge, you can cross the bridge and then go on to the next step. But if you never get to the bridge, then you're never going to make the progress. So there's no point being half and half. You have to find the journey, find the roadmap that takes you there, and go all in on that roadmap. Number 29, nobody will celebrate your wins with you, which means once you're just starting out, people are going to be excited for you. Then once you're at the end destination, they're going to admire you. But in between, nobody's going to care, right? Nobody cares about the middle part. So when you're making these wins, you're going to feel alone. You're going to feel as if nobody's going to celebrate with you. And that is where the online communities come into play. So you might think, what is it? What are these Facebook groups? What are these communities? Is it just spammers? If you find the right ones, no. they're actually support systems, and they're incredibly valuable because these are the people who are the ones that are going along the journey with you. They understand, and they're going to celebrate your wins with you. So collectively surround yourself with these people. Your local friends, people around you, your neighbors and such, they're not going to celebrate your wins with you. They're going to look upon you once you succeed with jealousy, but that's because they're in a different segment of society than we are. So surround yourself with these people that lift you up. Number 30, create an online bubble for yourself in online community. So this is, I call it the bubble. So you create this bubble and you're very strict with who you let into that bubble. And they're the ones that influence you. They're the ones that you spend your time with online. Those are the ones you talk to daily. Those are the ones that you travel to certain places for meetups and things like that. That is your bubble. That's what consumes that. That's what influences you. So we think about when you watch the news. I don't watch the news very much anymore because it's honestly it's quite negative, right? And I appreciate that it's because things can be negative, but there's always a negative spin. And I think on a daily basis that can influence your mindset. If you think everything's terrible, everything's going to be terrible. So I don't let it in. I control what gets inside my head, and I only let the positive influences in. I have to be very careful on social media because algorithms can push negative content to you. So I have to really focus on making sure I'm not consuming the negative. This is my bubble. I create this bubble, and it helps me in a world that's chaotic. It helps me remain positive. It helps me remain or continue to push forwards. And I do this with the people around me as well. I only let the people who are positive influences inside that bubble. They're the only ones I listen to. Number 31, procrastination can set you back years. So if you're jumping between different things, if you're taking forever to do something, procrastination can kick in and it can set you back so long because you can be stuck in this cycle for 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. So what you need to do is you need to clearly map out your plan of attack. Then one thing that I do, a little hack for you, is I set up ChatGPT to send daily reminders of the plan to myself every day at 9 a.m. Why do I do this? Because it's not just me thinking up the plan where maybe one day I don't feel like it. This is basically forced upon me. Every day in my inbox, every day on my phone as a notification as well, when you get the app, it sends me the notification of a reminder of the plan. It keeps me on track. So even the days where I don't feel like it, it reminds me, here's the plan, here's what we have to do to achieve the plan, stick to the plan. That's all I have to do. It simplifies that decision to work in my head so I can continue doing it. Super important. Procrastination can really set you back so far. So we need to set up mechanisms. If we know as human beings it can happen, set up mechanisms where we can reduce the impact that it has. 32, you will regret not starting sooner. You're going to regret it. We all do. Every single one of us. Because once you get to that final destination, once you are able to do what you want, you're going to wonder why you spent so long struggling. It's the truth. You're going to wonder, why did you spend all that time? Why didn't you just do this? You've missed 5 years of time where you could have been doing it, but you weren't. You were stuck in indecision. So you're going to regret not starting sooner. That is normal. That's perfectly normal to experience that. But you have to live each day as it is and enjoy where you are at that point, rather than always chasing something and also regretting the past. Live in the moment. Number 33, you're good enough because you took action. So if you ever felt imposter syndrome, ever wondered, am I good enough to do this? Well, by watching this video, you ask the question, what does it take? What does it take to start that online business? What does it take to make money online? Just by asking that question, you've separated yourself from the herd mentality, the rules of society, because they don't think like that. They don't have the inclination to think like that and ask the question. They might wonder it in passing, but they never ask the question. Well, you did. You're watching this video and you're at this point in the video. You ask the question, and if you can ask the question, if you can take society's rulebook, what they influence you to think, and you can separate yourself from that and ask the different questions, you're good enough. You're good enough to do it. No doubt about it. 34, discipline kicks in when motivation fails. So sometimes you're not going to feel motivated. Sometimes you're not going to feel great. And that's where discipline comes in. Now, like I was saying earlier, we're going to have bad days. We're human beings. We're not all David Goggins. We've got to know our weaknesses and prepare for it. So my weakness is Some days I'll feel great. Some days I will not feel great. I'll wake up, I'll feel slow. I just won't feel motivated. And I know that's going to happen. And I know on days like that, I'm going to struggle to work. So what I have to do is I have to set mechanisms, just like the ChatGPT system I mentioned, in my life that remind me what I'm supposed to be doing, that remind me the reason why I'm doing something. Not just that I have to do it, but why am I doing it? What does it actually benefit? What's the benefit of it? So these systems help me keep on track and stay disciplined when I don't feel like it. And the reason I have these systems is because I recognize my weakness and I can prepare for it. So it's not about the good days. The good days are easy. It's the days when it's tough. That's when I need the system in place. So we set up for the bad days in advance. 35, comparison will rob you of all joy. So if you are comparing to everybody else, you're never going to be happy because they're always going to have different circumstances. Your circumstance can be completely different. Your starting position, if you've ever struggled, right? If you've ever had a difficult upbringing, if you ever had challenges to deal with, you are at a massive disadvantage to the person who had the perfect life, right? Who had the perfect life, didn't have any worries, didn't have any stress, none of that whatsoever. You who have carried stress, who have maybe been in fight or flight mode, who've had difficult situations, are at such a disadvantage. So by comparing yourself to the person who's had the perfect life and their success, because it was so easy for them, they had money to invest, they didn't care about losing it, because they had the security, they had backup. Maybe their family backed them up, maybe they knew they could always fall back, or maybe they never had to struggle. They're at such an advantage than anybody else is. So by comparing yourself to that, it doesn't make any sense. They had a tremendous advantage. They had tremendous leverage. You didn't have that. Or maybe you did. Maybe you didn't have that. So we can't compare. Your starting position can be completely different, and you just having the ability to ask questions when you've got people relying on you. When you have that ability, when you've got a family relying on you, and you're willing to ask the question, how can I be better? That's far more strength and far more progress than just the easy path that someone has always had. So you've got to understand your journey, understand where you came from, and try not to compare against others who had completely different conditions than you had. 36, the 3 things that you need for success. You need a clear roadmap, number 1. So you've got to know exactly where you're going. You've got to have a proven process, so you don't want to be stabbing around in the dark. A proven process, this works, and replicate the system. And then you've got to be able to connect with those who are on that journey with you. Because again, we're not preparing for the good days, we're preparing for the bad days. We're all going to have them. So when we surround ourselves with that bubble, with that community, on the bad days, it lifts you up. It allows you to keep progressing. So you combine it with the clear roadmap, you combine it with the proven process, and then you combine it with the community, and you've got the mechanism, you've got the system to make the progress that you want to make. Number 37, don't spend too much time on the tiny details. As I said, as long as we can pass the family test with everything that we do, it's good enough. So don't spend too much time. We can always do it afterwards. Don't think about your domain name too much. Don't think about your business name or the setup and all that kind of stuff. We can tick those boxes, but don't let that be the friction or the barrier where you don't get started because you're stuck in analysis paralysis. Don't let that be the thing that holds you back. So don't get stuck in the tiny details. Number 38, keep it simple and make sure that you notice your habits. So if you have some days where you don't feel motivated, if you don't work well in the mornings, but you work well in the afternoons, recognize that habit and take advantage of it. So maybe you work more, you schedule time in the afternoons to work, and you enjoy the mornings, or vice versa. If you know that if you don't get outside enough, you get into a slump, you become depressed, and you struggle to do any work at all, well, it's a habit. We know that's going to happen. So in order to manage the bad times, we have to build systems in place, getting outside, going hikes, getting out in the sunshine. If you have sunshine available to you, that's the difference. So we're never preparing for the good times. We're always preparing to mitigate against the bad times, because that means we can always progress. That's the secret. 39, build training and motivation into your life every single week. I do it. Everybody I know does this as well. Everyone who's been successful does this as well. You have to have this it doesn't have to be learning something brand new. It can just be mindset. Because every week we can be volatile. We can feel different ways. We can wake up in the morning and just randomly feel down. That's the reality. Or maybe we're going through something difficult, or maybe we've got other distractions in life. When we build training and motivation and mindset work into our lives every week, just a few hours per week, maybe on a call, maybe it's just consuming some training, whatever it might be, we reset ourselves. We get ourselves back in the zone. So maybe some weeks it's only going to get you back in the zone a little bit, but that becomes a stepping stone for you to progress forwards on, rather than having to start from scratch. It's like healthy eating, right? Once you get out of that pattern, very difficult to get back in. Whereas if we just have one day where we reset ourselves, all of a sudden that becomes a benchmark. That becomes a stepping stone for us to progress further on. It doesn't have to be perfect. So training and the motivation work as a reset. So you have to do them every single week. It doesn't have to be 20 hours of training. It can be 2 hours of training a week. Builds that reset. Maybe the start of the week and a bit at the end. It will allow you to keep making progress. And number 40, you want to physically write down how far you have come each week. This is going to help you move forwards on the days where you don't feel like it. We all forget how far we've come. And as I said, just by asking the question and watching this video, you have progressed forwards, because you've asked the question that 99% of people will never ever ask. They all follow the same rules. So we can operate outside of that dynamic entirely. You have to realize how far you've come. As you progress, the goalposts are always going to move. You make your first $2,000. But this guy over here is making $5,000. You've moved the goalposts. You feel bad about your 2. Or then you hit the 5. And the next thing is, well, that guy's making 10. Why can't I make 10? You move the goalposts. And that's good. You want to keep the momentum going forwards. But you also have to realize how far you've come. Because when you realize, I'm actually making progress here, you're going to show up more enthusiastically. You're going to make progress even faster because you're motivated and you see the outcome and the result of your action. And those are the 40 brutal truths that you need to hear if you want to make money online in 2025. If you have any questions or comments or any feedback on this video, let me know down below. And of course, if you like this content, like the video to help push it to more people, and also let me know that's the kind of content you like. And also subscribe to the channel for further updates, alerts when I release new videos, and I'll see you pretty soon on my next video.